You were cited as claiming that nuclear weapons are not as dangerous as artificial intelligence. Potential, I said, and so it goes. You continue by saying that it's similar to calling forth the demon. How do you reconcile or make sense of the dichotomy between deep learning, which is clearly going to be crucial for self-driving cars, and artificial intelligence? How do you consider that? As autonomous vehicles are a rather limited use of artificial intelligence, and not something that I believe is particularly challenging, I don't think we need to worry about them. I believe it will be a lot simpler than people realize to get autonomous driving down to a level that is far safer than a human. Elon Musk, the Tony Stark of our day, without the Iron Man costume, comes first. Musk concludes that the automobile industry, with its century-old custom of really requiring humans to do the driving, is simply too routine. In order to create Tesla, a corporation that not only electrically powers automobiles, but also miraculously upgrades them while you sleep, he gets his hands dirty. Imagine waking up to discover that your car has learned new tricks during the night. It's similar to owning a pet, except that it doesn't urinate on your carpet and you don't have to walk it. Now Elon's vehicles aren't your typical vehicles. Regular internet brain transplants give these cars features you weren't aware you needed. Your automobile is saying, asterisk, you know what? Every few months, I can now do yoga asterisk while you stand there in awe of its downward dog. Furthermore, I believe it's a lot simpler than people realize to develop autonomous driving to a level that is significantly safer than a human. Elon believes that autonomous driving will become as commonplace as using a lift in the future, making driving a car yourself as antiquated as using a rotary phone. When lifts had operators, do you recall that time? I don't. But what if we did, and one day they simply disappeared and lifts began to function at the touch of a button? That's how Elon sees automobiles developing in the future. Because you operating your vehicle is, in his opinion, the only thing more terrifying than an AI doing so. Driving a car by hand will be viewed as extremely risky in the future, according to Elon, like balancing chainsaws on a unicycle. The idea is that cars might become so secure that they won't even require the bulky armor that they currently wear. Saying that our automobiles will behave so well in the future that they won't need to wear their bulletproof vests to the grocery store is analogous to that. About 100 million cars and trucks can be produced annually. Therefore, assuming the fleet remained the same size, it would take 20 years to replace all automobiles if they were autonomous tomorrow. One may argue that if things were autonomous, it could get smaller, but it would still take around 15 years. Additionally, not everything will change at once. It will take a long time. There's a catch, though. It will take time to make the switch to this ideal fleet of courteous self-driving electric vehicles. Musk predicts that it may take 15 to 20 years to replace all of the more than 2 billion legacy automobiles that are already on the road with their autonomous equivalents. It's similar to attempting to replace all of the world's horses with automobiles at the turn of the 20th century, except with fewer hay bundles and more software updates. Since a Tesla is constantly linked, you can keep adding new software after you have the hardware foundation, some form of sensor and computer foundation, in place. You'll see that the features of your car are getting better over time. Now that we have active cruise control, it will track the vehicle ahead of you using a combination of radar and cameras. It assumes that the car's brake lights are on since it is also examining them. Even with the existing hardware suite, it will continue to get smarter. Therefore, Elon Musk talks of automobiles that are smarter than the typical bear, or smartphone, for that matter, in an attempt to transform our everyday driving experiences into a sci-fi reality. He introduces us to active cruise control, which is a sophisticated radar and camera fusion system that functions more like a psychic predicting that the car in front of you is going to stop because someone spilt their latte than the type of cruise control where your car idly follows the car ahead like a lost puppy. There's more, though. Musk wants more than simply a clairvoyant vehicle. He desires it to be all-knowing. We're talking a larger sensor suite and enough processing power to make your laptop feel like a calculator from the 1990s in order to attain complete autonomy, particularly in those frustratingly unpredictable metropolitan jungles. It's similar like fastening the utility belt of a superhero to your vehicle. Radars and AI brains are used in place of grappling hooks. The only urban setting where it can be challenging is at speeds of 30 to 40 miles per hour. Because we can use ultrasonics to do so, it's currently quite simple to deal with objects moving at speeds under 5 to 10 miles per hour. We simply ensure that nothing is struck because, for the most part, that is the proper course of action. Why would you want your car to collide with anything? You can therefore stop within the ultrasonics range at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then, in complicated suburban settings, you can have a lot of surprising things happening in the range of 10 miles per hour to roughly 50 miles per hour. Let's move on to the miraculous solutions and obstacles in the fascinating world of autonomous driving. We start by discussing the thrilling rush hour traffic situations, where the speed varies from glacial to snail-like. Musk suggests utilizing ultrasonics to prevent your automobile from becoming too close to the car in front of it, not for a fancy spa treatment. In essence, you're giving your automobile personal space bubbles that, if they burst, honk loudly. Suburban obstacle courses, where life throws everything at you, including the kitchen sink, children chasing balls, squirrels with death wishes, and cyclists who believe they are in the Tour de France, are where the real fun starts. Musk's response: an automobile brain that combines elements of a psychic medium and a supercomputer, allowing it to see into the future and make snap decisions with the composure of a Zen master. Avoiding obstacles is only one aspect of it. Another is anticipating the mayhem of suburbia and negotiating it with the grace of a ballet dancer. It will likely be another 2 or 3 years before authorities will permit that to happen before a car is unquestionably safer than a person. They'll want to see a lot of statistical evidence that it's significantly safer than a person, not just as safe. Running it in shadow mode and basically saying, okay, this is what the computer would have done in all these situations, is probably what you can do. Was there a collision? What do false negatives and false positives mean? Then gather a sizable population, present the regulators with a compelling statistical case, and give them time to process it. I believe they will do so because the evidence will be so strong after they observe it for a while and determine whether they agree with it. Imagine this, then. Government regulations are Elon Musk's worst enemy as he continues to push us towards a utopian future in which cars drive themselves and people are free to quarrel over the aux cord. But convincing the powers that be with the allure of hard, cold statistics is more important than capes and supervillains. Musk's scheme. In order to gather data, deploy self-driving cars in shadow mode, which sounds like a covert spy operation, but is really just the cars feigning to drive themselves. Gathering all the evidence required to convince regulators that these robotic chauffeurs are far safer than humans who are easily distracted by anything from billboards to butterflies is like having a ghost driver who is exceptionally skilled at avoiding collisions. In terms of public safety, I believe there is a case to be cautious and ensure that everything is in order before making any changes. I don't think it's the case that right now there's a fully autonomous system, and regulators are not approving it as a substitute for people, but there will be in a few years. Here's where it gets spicy. Musk and Tesla navigate the treacherous waters of innovation, urging regulators not to jump the gun with hasty laws that could stifle the bright future of autonomous driving. It's like telling your overly cautious friend, maybe don't wear a helmet and elbow pads to go for a walk, sure, self-driving tech isn't ready to kick all humans to the curb just yet. But Tesla is brewing a software storm, investing heavily in the kind of engineering wizardry that upgrades your car while you sleep. We're talking about turning your car into a sleek, self-improving robot on wheels, gaining new abilities like a video game character leveling up. I'd love to have this kind of car, would you? Doesn't this make you feel bullish on Tesla? And would you be interested in investing in Tesla? However, are you aware of anyone else who is as optimistic?